So nobody believed that this was possible. Nobody thought that you could crash Bugatti, buy it back, and nonetheless fix it.
After Alex crashed his Bugatti, he's nominated me to repair it.
Just a few months ago, Matt Armstrong and Alex G looked like the ultimate YouTube success story. Together, they took on what many believed was an impossible challenge, rebuilding a crashed $6 million Bugatti, a car that had been written off and declared finished. Yet somehow, they brought it back to life in front of millions of viewers. The rebuild generated headlines, the videos exploded, and it seemed like both men were about to share one of YouTube's biggest victories. But that's not what happened. Rumors started spreading, questions appeared, then came accusations, reports of disputes, and claims of legal action that left fans wondering whether the partnership had completely fallen apart. What's even stranger is that neither side has fully explained what happened. So how did one of YouTube's biggest automotive collaborations turn into one of its most talked about controversies? Because the deeper you look into this story, the stranger it gets.
If you guys don't know, yes, the Bugatti has been crashed. I'm going to try and disclose as much information as I can.
For most viewers, the story began when Alex G crashed his ultra-rare Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport. The damage was severe. Repair estimates reportedly reached into the millions, and the insurance company declared the hypercar a total loss. To most observers, the story seemed over before it had really begun. But Alex wasn't ready to let the Bugatti go. Instead of walking away, he bought the wrecked car back and announced plans to rebuild it. Considering how rare and expensive the vehicle was, many people believed the idea was unrealistic from the start. That's when Matt Armstrong entered the picture. Known for restoring vehicles that others considered beyond saving, Matt quickly became the perfect person for the job. Together, they suddenly had the attention of the entire automotive community. As the project gained momentum, viewers saw what appeared to be the start of an incredible partnership. The rebuild quickly became one of the biggest automotive stories on YouTube. But as events would later reveal, fixing the car would end up being far easier than protecting the relationship behind it. As work on the Bugatti began, the project quickly grew far beyond a normal rebuild. Every update attracted massive attention, with viewers eager to see whether Matt and his team could actually bring the hypercar back to life. The challenge seemed almost impossible, which only made people more invested. The situation became even bigger when reports surfaced that Bugatti had restricted access to certain parts and services. Suddenly, this wasn't just a rebuild story anymore. It became a battle between independent builders and one of the most exclusive car manufacturers in the world. With every obstacle they overcame, the project generated even more views. Millions of people followed the journey, and both Alex and Matt benefited from the attention. The rebuild was becoming one of the biggest automotive stories YouTube had ever seen. From the outside, everything appeared to be working perfectly. The car was making progress, the audience was growing, and the partnership looked stronger than ever. But behind the scenes, things may not have been as smooth as they appeared. As the rebuild moved closer to completion, some viewers began noticing subtle changes. Interactions between Alex and Matt seemed different, and questions slowly started appearing across comment sections and automotive forums. At first, most people ignored them. Then the speculation started growing. Fans who had followed the project from the beginning began wondering whether disagreements had developed behind the scenes. Neither side publicly addressed the rumors, which only fueled even more discussion. The problem was that nobody knew what was actually happening. Some believed it was simply stress from managing such a massive project. Others suspected there was a deeper issue involving the business side of the rebuild. For a while, the rumors remained exactly that, rumors. But before long, claims and accusations would begin circulating online, turning private questions into a very public controversy. The story took a dramatic turn when videos discussing the fallout between Alex G and Matt Armstrong began spreading across social media. What had once been a celebration of an impossible rebuild was suddenly being overshadowed by allegations and growing controversy. Fans who had followed every step of the project wanted answers. As more creators started covering the situation, the automotive community became divided. Some viewers defended Matt and pointed to the success of the rebuild. Others sided with Alex, arguing that there was more happening behind the scenes than the public had been told. The biggest problem was the lack of clear information. Claims were circulating everywhere, but very few details were being confirmed publicly. This created the perfect environment for speculation, with every new post generating even more questions. What had started as a disagreement between two creators was quickly becoming one of the most talked about stories in automotive YouTube. And then the situation reportedly moved beyond social media entirely. As reports of legal action began circulating, many fans realized this controversy might be far more serious than they first thought. Online arguments are common on YouTube, but court involvement is an entirely different level. Suddenly, people weren't just discussing rumors, they were discussing potential legal consequences and the possibility of a much deeper dispute. The possibility of a courtroom battle immediately put the spotlight back on the Bugatti project. Viewers began revisiting old videos, searching for clues, and trying to understand what could have caused such a dramatic breakdown between the two men. Every interaction and public statement started receiving far more attention than before. For Matt Armstrong, the timing couldn't have been worse. After months of being praised for helping complete one of the most ambitious rebuilds ever documented online, he was now facing growing scrutiny from both supporters and critics. The project that had once boosted his reputation was suddenly becoming linked to controversy. And while the public continued searching for answers, one major question remained unanswered. What actually happened behind closed doors that caused everything to fall apart after the rebuild was complete? Until that question is answered, the legal drama will likely remain one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the entire Bugatti saga. For Matt Armstrong, the fallout threatens more than just a single partnership. His entire brand has been built on trust, transparency, and documenting impossible rebuilds for millions of viewers. When controversy enters the picture, that reputation naturally comes under greater scrutiny. As allegations and legal claims continued to circulate, fans began examining every aspect of the Bugatti project more closely. Supporters argued that Matt had successfully delivered what many thought was impossible. Critics, however, questioned whether the full story had been told. The situation became even more complicated because the Bugatti rebuild was one of the most visible projects of Matt's career. The bigger the project, the bigger the attention. And when controversy follows a project of that size, it becomes nearly impossible to ignore. Whether the claims ultimately prove significant or not, the damage from the public controversy may already be done. But the biggest mystery still hadn't been answered. Despite months of discussion, many of the most important questions remain unanswered. What exactly caused the relationship between Alex G and Matt Armstrong to break down? Was it money business disagreements, personal conflicts, differing expectations, or something else entirely? The lack of clear explanations has only fueled more speculation. Every statement, post, and video has been analyzed by viewers looking for clues. Yet much of what people believe happened still comes from theories, rumors, and online discussions, rather than confirmed facts from either side. That's what makes this story so unusual. The Bugatti rebuild itself was documented for millions to see, but the fallout that followed remains largely hidden from public view. The audience watched the car come back to life step by step, but they never saw the moment the partnership reportedly began to unravel behind the scenes. And until more information becomes public, the mystery surrounding Alex G and Matt Armstrong may continue to be just as fascinating as the rebuild that brought them together in the first place. In many ways, the unanswered questions have become just as big a story as the Bugatti itself. Looking back, it's hard not to wonder whether the Bugatti rebuild came with a price nobody expected. The car was saved, the videos generated millions of views, and both creators became the center of one of the biggest automotive stories on YouTube. By almost every measure, the project was a massive success that seemed destined to become a legendary moment in automotive content creation. But success doesn't always guarantee a happy ending. Somewhere between the crash, the rebuild, and the controversy that followed, the partnership that made it all possible appears to have broken down. What should have been remembered purely as an incredible achievement is now being discussed alongside allegations, disputes, and reported legal drama that continue to generate questions throughout the automotive community. For many viewers, that's the most surprising part of the entire story. The impossible challenge wasn't rebuilding the Bugatti. It may have been managing everything that came after the rebuild was complete. As the project attracted more attention, the pressure surrounding it seemed to grow as well, turning what looked like a dream collaboration into a source of controversy. And with so many unanswered questions still hanging over the situation, many people believe this story is far from over. The rebuild may be finished, but the fallout surrounding it continues to keep viewers watching closely for new developments. The rebuild of Alex G's Bugatti was supposed to be remembered as one of YouTube's greatest automotive comeback stories. A totaled hypercar was brought back to life, millions followed the journey, and two creators appeared to achieve something that many experts believed was impossible. Instead, the conversation has shifted far away from the car itself. Today, people are talking about allegations, reported legal action, and a partnership that appears to have completely fallen apart. The project that once united Alex G and Matt Armstrong may now be the very thing that divided them. What makes the situation so compelling is that the public still doesn't have all the answers. Viewers watched nearly every stage of the rebuild unfold online, yet the events that followed remain surrounded by uncertainty. That lack of clarity has fueled endless discussion, with fans continuing to search for clues about what really happened behind the scenes. Until both sides fully explain what happened, the speculation will likely continue. But one thing is certain: this story is no longer about a crashed Bugatti. It's about what happened after the rebuild was finished. And that may end up being the most fascinating chapter of all.